Right, so today we're doing another tutorial video, and as you can tell from the thumbnail, it's going to be on Battlefield 4. Just a bit of disclaimer, this isn't a tutorial that will allow you to play Battlefield 4 for fun. Well, actually, for fun's the wrong way of putting it. Play Battlefield 4 in a variety of ways, because one of the tips I'm going to pull out is staying consistent with the weaponry you choose so you can get used to that. So if you're looking to play Battlefield 4 in a variety of different ways, trying out loads of different guns, then maybe this tutorial isn't for you. But anyway, let's crack into one thing that people always talk about and always are interested in is sensitivity. You know, what sensitivity should you be running at? Now, as you can see on screen now, this is generally what I run at, 25% on both vehicle sensitivity and player sensitivity. Now, this might be quite low or surprisingly low. The thing is, with Battlefield, unlike Call of Duty, the engagements are usually more at that mid-range, and generally you don't need to be snapping to your targets as much as you would in a Call of Duty. Moreover, you'll find that the weapons in Battlefield 4 and all battlefields are a little bit harder to control than in Call of Duty. So having that lower sensitivity, at least on console, on PC it may be easy to control your weapons, but on console having that lower sensitivity allows you to make finer adjustments with your joystick to make the weapons more manageable. In addition, you can look at the setup I've got here. This is a really good one to have on. Swap L1 and R1 with L2 and R2 because it just allows you to shoot that little bit quicker, because the triggers, the L1 and R1, have a shorter distance between you pushing them and it sending a signal to fire than L2 and R2. Now, the reason I have it off is I have that enabled by default through the custom button assignments in the PS4 menu. If you want to check out how you can do that, I'll leave it in a card just above now in the video. But what I like about that is it allows you to switch your jump to L2 and R2 so you can keep your thumbs on the triggers while jumping and crouching rather than moving your thumbs off to X or circle on the PS4 controller to do so, which means you can't aim at the same time. But as I said, I'll leave that in a card and we'll move on to the next point. So as you can see on screen now, you've got Assault, Engineer, Support and Recon. And I keep the same primary weapon throughout my classes, apart from Recon, because that is a little bit different. Like, if you are running Recon, you probably do want to snipe, but alternatively you can use Recon in an aggressive way with the spawn beacon. But at the moment I've got it on for sniping, and personally I just don't really use Recon. It's either kind of the first three, but as you can see, I'm using the MTAR on all of my classes. Now, this is the thing, it's staying consistent. If you use the MTAR across all of your classes, you can get really used to how the MTAR feels and actually improve your gun skill off the back of that. If you use a load of different weapons or a myriad of different attachments, you're not really ever going to get used to a single weapon, and the weapons are harder to control. They all have their slightly different recoil patterns, unlike COD where kind of the weapons, yes, they are different, but all in all they are quite lasery. You don't get that in Battlefield. So personally, it isn't a way to play for variety this, but if you do want to improve, I would suggest at least giving it a go, trying a weapon that you like and just sticking with it across your classes. Now, you are limited with your choices because obviously carbines, DMRs and shotguns are the only weapons that are universal across Assault, Engineer, Support and Recon. So the first class type, PDW for Engineer, for Support, LMG and assault rifles, you can't transfer them between classes. So you're kind of limited to carbines, DMRs and shotguns. But I'll walk you through what I recommend as guns within carbines and DMRs that are viable and are definitely contenders with assault rifles or PDWs. So starting off with carbines, there's two I either run, and at the moment, as you can tell, I'm running the MTAR, but the ACR is also a really good choice. Just going through attachments very quickly, I don't want to bore people, but I usually use a holographic sight on the MTAR. Target detector, fantastic, like spotting in this is so helpful, not only for your benefit, but for your team's benefit, so that's really helpful. Like to run a suppressor, because I usually like to run flanks, and not showing up on the minimap obviously helps with that situation. Plus, I just love the way it sounds. I don't know, there's something satisfying about having a suppressor on. Potato grip, I'm not entirely sure like what all the different grips do. Like, it gives you information, but some of them seem to do the exact same thing. So I've gone for the potato grip, probably because it's just the last one and I thought it'd be the best. But I think it doesn't really matter what grip you put on, as long as you get used to that grip that you're using, because they will have slight differences, I'm sure, but as long as you get used to running the recoil pattern, then it's absolutely fine. For the ACR, it's a similar setup. I've got the holographic, target detector, suppressor, and I've mixed it up there with the stubby grip for some reason. It's what I've gone with, but I think you can mix around with the grips. I don't think they're going to make a massive difference. Like, leave a note in the comment if I'm completely wrong there and you've noticed a massive difference, but personally, I haven't. So I think for the carbines, the ACR and the MTAR are your most viable options. Obviously the MTAR is a DLC weapon, so if you don't have the DLC, I would rock the ACR. There are other good contenders in there. The G36C is a little bit of a laser, so if you are really struggling with the recoil, then I'd recommend that weapon. However, the ACR and the MTAR do just hit that little bit harder, and you'll especially notice that at close range. You will get outgunned if you have a G36C and they have an ACR or an MTAR. On the DMR front, they're all fairly similar. I really like the Ace 53. Like, if you're getting a headshot or two with this, it's over for them, actually. And this is probably better on some kind of longer range, more open map. Yes, on this I'll run a one-time zoom sight, because as previously mentioned, I'm going to be using this at slightly longer ranges, so I'd recommend that. Tri-beam laser. Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I've got no idea why I've got the tri-beam laser on. I'm going to change that to target detector. Yeah, moving on from that then. Suppressor again, as I said, I like to kind of do flanks, so suppressor's always good. And yeah, back to the good old potato grip. So that's what I run on the Ace. But I think there's a lot of good contenders there. But I use the Ace the most, so that's the one I would recommend. So I've given you some carbines and DMRs there you can use. Shotgun wise, I never use shotguns. I just don't think they are, unless you're on like Operation Locker or something, I'm not sure if they're viable enough to use in just the general battlefield map you'll find yourself in. I've been killed by the 870 quite a lot, so if you are a shotgun player, maybe give that a crack. But I'm not going to dip into shotguns because I really rarely use them, and I think it would just be uninformed advice that I've been giving you. But I have given you a good DMR to use, plus 2 carbines that I think are probably one of the strongest carbines in the game, plus a third if you are really struggling with your aim. So I'd recommend trying that out. I think moving on to kind of some general tips around aiming then in Battlefield is tap firing is the king in this game. You cannot hold down your gun like you can in Call of Duty and expect to be getting kills. One, you're especially fine with the carbines, and pretty much with all guns to be honest, is that the mag size is quite small. You can't really stick on extended mags, and especially with the ACR and the MTAR and high firing weapons, which generally are the best weapons in this game, is you'll go through those bullets very quickly. So if you're not tap firing at mid to long range, you're going to go through those 30 bullets before you even take 50% of their health off. You have to tap fire at medium to long range. Whereas close range, yes, let it rip, just release all the bullets into their chest. But I'm just saying, medium to long range, keep the tap firing, because you'll find you'll run out of bullets very, very quickly with the limited mag size and the rate of fire of some of these weapons. I'd also recommend making sure you use a sight on all of your weapons. This comes down to personal preference of what sight you like, but I think it will help you hit target a lot more. Try and stick away from iron sights. A further tip is really try and close down the distance as much as you can when playing Battlefield. As I said, it's important to tap fire at medium to long range, but it's a lot easier to get up close and personal and just hold down the trigger and hit your shots that way, and they'll go down a lot quicker. This is easier said than done, but I really recommend, if you haven't tried it, is to run smoke grenades on your classes. This way you can smoke out, get a little bit closer to the enemy, and take those shorter range engagements where it's less hit or miss about whether you're going to hit your shots. This might improve your skill in Battlefield in terms of gunplay. Another tip is don't underutilise your pistol actually in this game. It's not a pea shooter in Battlefield 4. It's actually pretty strong, a lot of the pistols. I use the CZ75, and I'm no word of a lie, it's pretty beastly. If you've run out of bullets in your primary weapon, don't bother reloading if you're in an intense situation. Switch to the CZ75 or any pistol that you like really, or you groove with. I like the CZ. And you more often than not, if they're low, you can get them in 1 or 2 hits. The pistols are very viable in this game, so that's a further tip to improve your gun skill. But I don't want to drone on, so I think they're the main tips. Like, just to summarise, Try and close the gap on engagements, so you're more likely to hit your shots and get those kills. If that is not an option, be sure to be tap firing at medium to long range, as you will run out of bullets in these small mags in this game before you kill your target otherwise. Try and stay consistent with the weaponry that you're using. Stick to 1 or 2 weapons. Personally, I stick with the MTAR and the Ace at a slightly longer range, but the majority of the time I just use the MTAR and smoke grenades to close the distance. I just personally find that getting used to that single weapon really helps out in a game. Stick with a sensitivity that works for you. Personally though, I would recommend on the lower end, because in Battlefield it's less likely that you need to snap to your targets like COD. Yes, there are close range engagements and I have recommended getting in up close and personal, but it's not like COD where people are sliding around and it's really important to be snapping to targets left, right and centre. It's not really that kind of close range engagement. Usually they're in front of you or a slight to the side. Very rarely do they get up behind you and you need to snap. And if they are up behind you in Battlefield, it's pretty much over, because the time to kill is actually pretty quick in this game. But it is a rarity for that to happen. They're usually to your in front of you and your left or right, or at least you've got an idea of where they'll be because you're pushing an objective they have, and most of the time it will be in front of you. Don't underutilise the pistol. The pistol is not a pea shooter. It's actually pretty good in this game. If you run out of bullets in your mag, switch to the pistol rather than reloading. Ensure in your controller you're using L1 and R1 for shoot rather than L2 and R2, because the time to fire is just a little bit quicker. I know it's a tad sweaty, but again, every little helps. But I think that summarises everything. If you did enjoy, please don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up to date with future Battlefield content. I'd be really interested to hear if this is the kind of content that you enjoy, the tips and tricks videos, or whether it's the more gameplay videos you enjoy, or whether you even agree with the tips that I've put out. Personally, they work for me, but maybe I'm an odd one out. So anyway, that's it from me, and yeah, peace out guys.